Okay, let's make a start. Hopefully everybody can hear me okay. Thank you for joining this market webinar on France. We are recording this webinar so we can send round the recording afterwards. And also we'll send slides and contact details as well. So this morning we're joined by Jade from Sutralis. Sutralis are our in-market partner in France, and they help UK brands in France. And Jade is going to talk about some of the opportunities currently in France, the market, and hopefully I think we've got quite a few of the CL companies joining us as well. So a really good overview ahead of the trade show. So we're looking forward to hearing from Jade. We're also joined by Louise from Rosetta Brands. Rosetta Brands are one of FDA's export service provider members, and they specialise in Amazon vendor specialists. So she'll be talking a little bit more about Amazon opportunities on Amazon in France and Europe as a whole. So I'm going to hand over to Jade, who's going to speak first.
Hello everyone, so I will share my presentation. Can you see it?
Yeah.
Good. So nice to meet you everyone. So I'm Jade, a business development manager at Sutralis, and since 2006 we support food and drink brands in their development on the French market. So I'm very happy to be here today to give you an overview of the last insights in France. So together we will look at the latest trends in the French market, what market opportunities there are for you, and finally how to prepare for a French buyer, particularly at CL. And at the end, do not hesitate if you have any questions or queries. So regarding the French trends, before going into the details of the trends, I will give you a general overview. So France has a total population of 68 million, and with 81% of whom live in urban areas. It is important to know that France imports 20% of its food for a total of 60 billion euros in 2023. And in 2023, the average food basket for a French household was to 488 euros per month, partly due to inflation. So I will give you more details later. And 80% of food distribution is carried out by supermarkets. And regarding e-commerce, so it's the only distribution channel to grow in volume, so with an increase of 0.9%. So it represents 12.7% at the moment in the food, so regarding online sales for the food sector. So regarding the last consumer trends, we see three concepts, three general concepts. So first one, commitment to the environment. Second one, importance of animal welfare. And the third one, healthier diet. So I will take a closer look. So regarding the environment, 63% of French people are prepared to pay more if the product is environmentally friendly. We are also seeing the return of the deposit in France, and 65% of the over 65s and 35% of the 25-34s prefer to buy local products. So we are seeing a booming in the local products, so French products. And we are more and more sensitive to food waste. So we see application like Too Good To Go in partnership with supermarkets, restaurants. So I don't know if you are aware about Too Good To Go, but it's an application that allows consumers to pick up packed lunches at the end of the day from shops, restaurants, to avoid food waste. And we also see an importance of labels and logos such as Origine Française and Origine Info, or also the Nutri-Score. I'm sure you're aware about that regarding the quality of the product. And in fact, in France, almost 6 out of 10 French people say they have changed their consumption habits as a result of Nutri-Score information. So it's very known in France. Regarding the animal welfare, So the French are increasingly aware of and concerned about animal welfare. So, and our guests in intensive farming. So as a result, 45% of the population claims to be flexitarian by 2023, and 40% of French people are thinking about eating more vegan products. We also see application of indicators to help consumers, such as numbers on eggs. So regarding that, the first number tells the consumer how the laying hens were reared, and the next two letters identify the laying country, so FR for France. Next, a code identifies the farm of origin. Regarding the third concept, a healthier diet. So we see healthier markets developing in France, in particular the without segment is growing, such as gluten-free, so with an increase of 12.9%, preservative-free with an increase of 7.1%, and primal-free with 2.1% increase. And we also see trends like superfood more and more present, so with pia, goji, pomegranate, spirulina. And what's more, the French like the fact that there are fewer and fewer ingredients in products. So in 5 years, the number of ingredients in products has fallen by 20%. And as I said before, the Nutri-Score, very important, 58% of processed food uses it. So yeah, to give information on the nutritional quality of products. And however, despite these healthier trends, indulgence remains a key point for the French. So products should always be tasty because, yeah, really important for the French people. But on the other hand, even through 63% of people in France said they are prepared to pay more for healthier products, we don't necessarily see this reflected in their purchases. Some inflation cumulative price in 2022 and 2023 for mass market consumer goods is 20%, so it's quite big. And despite the slowdown in inflation over the last 18 months, pay rises and the gradual fall in interest rates, consumption has yet to pick up in Europe, and even less so in France, so which has been particularly hard hit by rising prices and growing job insecurity. So as a result, French had to make choices and are turning mainly to private label products. So here you can see the market share in value of the private label for fast-moving consumer goods, so 36.5%, with an increase of 14%. And we also see an increase of 30.7% in value lines product private labels sales between 2022 and 2023. And while overall sales are rising, boosted by inflation, so we see an increase of 8.6% for total consumer goods in 2023 versus 2022, responsible products like gluten-free, organic, so palm oil-free, in fact, the trends we saw before, are struggling with an increase of 3.8%. So having looked at the general trends, let's take a closer look at the opportunities for British exporters. So we can see 3 key concepts in our conception. So first one, emotion, second one, connection, and third one, attention. So firstly, let's analyze what is linked to emotion. So it's important to note that for 4 out of 10 people, comfort comes top of the list of motivations associated with the pleasure of eating. So it's really important to associate comfort and pleasure. And we are looking for new tastes, new flavors. So 1 in 3 people are motivated by the discovery of new food tastes. So if you have innovative products, that could be interesting for the French consumers. And that's why the bubble tea phenomenon is so popular around the world and in France, because particularly with the creation of home kits. And yeah, bubble tea is a good example because they play with the flavors, the colors, the textures. So yeah, quite good and quite successful in France. And pleasure products remains at the top of the innovation rankings, so and are still performing well in shopping trawlers, so ice cream, chocolate, smoothies, crepes, and snacks. So these products categories are holding up well against the backdrop of falling overall volumes. So here you can see what are the opportunities in France. So with the change in volume between 2023 versus 2022. So comfort food, all fast-moving consumer goods has increased by plus 8.6%. And here you can see the different markets who also have increased. So spreads, so chocolate spreads have grown by 15%, chips have risen by 25%, cookies by 14%, and candy and lollipops also by 16%. So yeah, good opportunities for you if you have products in these categories and in line with the trends we saw before. So healthier products, etc. And we also see a boom in mocktails, alcohol-free wines, because while 15% of French people declared themselves to be abstainers in 2023, and also 28% of them said they were consumers of no-low products. So it's a booming market in France. And we saw also an increase of volume sales of energy drinks. They rose by 9.1%. So after the forced pause caused by the pandemic, food is now seen as an eminently collective affair with a strong return to conviviality as a way of dealing with the concerns of the moment. So connection is the second concept. So you have to keep in mind for your export in France. So we saw that the traditional cuisine is making a comeback. So almost one in 4 people prefer classic dishes, and brands are adopting vintage designs for their new product launches. Also, ingredients and methods are being revisited to meet economic and ecological challenges. And then Korean pop culture continues to influence gastronomy also in France, while African cuisines are slowly emerging thanks to the renowned young chefs. And in fact, we saw that in 2023, 27% was the contribution of tacos, kebabs, and Asian fast food to 100% of additional visits. So this is the second fastest growing fast food channel in terms of visits. So it's also a good opportunity for you if you have an innovative product also in line with the new exotic products that we consume in France. And finally, the plate as a place where we take care of ourselves, with health as a primary reason for changing our eating habits, and naturalness as the #1 reassuring factor. So even though the organic network is large and 51% of French people show an interest in these products, only 15% associate organic with quality. So yeah, it's no longer the added value that needs to be promoted when you have a product. If you have a product with different USPs like organic or gluten-free, vegan, maybe you have to focus more on the gluten-free part or vegan part than the organic one. So because we have also a saturated market in the organic sector. And on the other hand, if you offer an immunity boosting product, there's some interest there with an increase of 6 points to 72%, because we saw an increase of the drinks, so, and particularly in the healthier drinks. So if you have shots, if you have water, kefir, if you have drinks with USPs like immunity boosting, and also natural energy drinks. It could be very interesting for the French market and for the French buyers. And there are also more and more offers on the plant-based market. So it's quite saturated in some of the categories. So, for example, meat alternatives. But if you have innovative products, because innovations in vegetarian versions of global bestseller and also exotic dishes like dal and chili continue to rise, focusing on taste. So it's in line with what I said before. So the exotism products are increasing, also healthier products. So if you have a plant-based product in this category, it could be very welcome on the French market. And also, by the way, 67% of French find meat too expensive. So that's why they want to consume less meat because of the environment and animal welfare, and so because it's too expensive regarding the inflation. And you also have to note that we in France, a country hit hard by food inflation, all social classes report reduced consumption, especially lower income groups, 73%, compared to wealthier ones, so 46%. Here you can see the top 3 innovations we saw in France. So the first one, frozen savory products with 8.1%. Then non-alcoholic refreshing beverages, as I said, so with 7.5% increase. And the third one is meat, delicatessen, and poultry with 5.9%. So if you have a product in these categories in line with the trends I told you before, you have, I think, an opportunity to grow your sales in France. And you have to note that 52% of innovations in 2023 are pleasure-oriented innovations. Now we'll have a closer look at how to prepare for French buyers, and especially at Cial. So first, how to prepare for export. So before considering the French market and before considering trade shows and how to discuss with a French buyer, you have to prepare before. So we established 5 big steps. So first, on the market, you have to know the market. You have to know the trends. You have to know your competitors. What are their products? What are their positioning on the market? Their prices, to see if you can fit also your competitors if you are not too high with the price we can find in the aisle. And you have to also think about your prices you will offer for the French consumer, because people are they want healthier product, they want innovative product, but they also are paying attention to the price because of the inflation and because of the inflation. So you have to offer a product that are innovative, that are also in line with the trends, but with a price, an affordable price for the French people. So it could be quite difficult. So you have to think about everything. And you have also to keep in mind and to make sure that you will have the good distribution structure. Regarding the strategy, so you have to ask yourself, what is the added value of your product? Does it bring something new, complementary to the market? Because if you offer totally similar to another product we can find on the French market, so, and especially if you have a competitor, a French competitor with similar USPs, similar prices, etc., French buyer will, I think, choose the French one. So you have to differentiate yourself, and so it's really important to establish a strategy like that. And also, is your price positioning appropriate, as I told you just before? And do you need to adapt the products or the marketing? Because sometimes I discuss with brands who are very known on their market, very successful, but they have a name or they have a marketing not really adapted for the French people because, for example, the name could be quite complicated to understand in France because you have to know that only 25% of the population speaks English. So you have to be very clear and very in line with what you want to bring on the French market. Third concept, finance. You have to think about your communication plan, your travel expenses when you will have to come for a meeting, etc. And also prospecting expenses, so trade fair as SIAL, because it's very expensive. You have to pay the booth, you have to also bring all your samples, communication tools like flyers, etc. You have also to think about your structure in France. So do you need a warehouse in France? Do you need a sales team, etc. And regarding identification, so you have to identify the person in charge of your development in France. So with language skills, as I said, it would be preferable if you have a person who speaks French because buyers have some difficulties to speak English and they prefer to speak French. And you have also to be aware of international tools. You have to know the exports techniques. So you need a person with these skills, really important. And at the end, the culture. You have to understand cultural differences because we are near. So it's we are near from each other, but we can find cultural differences between you and us. And an advice I can give you is take your time and get support because if you are maybe a small or a medium-sized company, maybe you don't have the person on your team, maybe you don't have the time also to do all this job because it's a big job to export in France. And now how to prepare for a meeting and a potential listing. So here you can see a general overview, general advice, and then also more specific advice regarding SIAL because some of you will be exhibiting at SIAL, so it's important to give you some advice on that. So how to prepare? So before the presentation meeting you will have with the buyer, you have to know your buyer. So regarding the retailer, is it an independent or an integrated one? Because it's two different. So independent, they will have regional purchasing centers and integrated ones will have national purchasing centers. And if you go with the independent, like Leclerc, you will need sales force on the ground to go each shops to tell them you can buy the product. So it's very important. Then you have also to know what is their positioning. So Monoprix, for example, it's the premium one. Leclerc, it's a discounter. So it's really important to establish a strategy. Then you have to know how many stores they have, what kind of geographic implementation they have, and also what is the offer in store and prices they have. If you can differentiate yourself and if you have, in fact, competitive for this retailer and for this buyer. Then during the meeting, you have to be ready. So you will have to present your company, your product, and also bring samples, really important to test the product in live with the buyer. You also have to define tariff if the buyer is present because you will have a meeting maybe with the category manager. So the first one, and the buyer is in charge of the prices. And you have to define the objectives and understand the expectations they will have. You also have to, so you need your communication and promotion plan. So you already have to have an idea and you have at the end of the meeting to agree on next steps. Then after the meeting, you have to be very patient and also persistent. So you have to be proactive. So it's really important. You have to do the follow-up on samples to get their feedback and also the offer. And also you have to bring in new important information if you have any. So if you have a new range or a new product, you have to tell them. And also you have to fill out documents in France. So that's why you need a person with these skills, or you need to have someone in France to help you. And then when you are listed, because it's your goal on the French market, you have to build a relationship. So you have to follow the sales performance and write a report to prepare negotiation after that. You have to do store visits and approach all the retailers, discuss the result with the buyer to see what you can do to improve the sales, etc. And you also have to implement actions to increase your visibility, so promotions, testings. So regarding a retailer, they will ask approximately to 2 or 3 promotions per year, like buy 2 get 1 free, 25% off. So you have to create your plan internally, what you can do, in fact, and you have to discuss this with your buyer. So here you can see some information also related to SIAL. So you have to be ready when you will meet a buyer during SIAL. So you have to know, to have an overview of each retailer, each buyer you want to focus. Then if you meet a buyer that you have in mind, you will be ready to discuss with him. So if you also have a discussion with a buyer, you can ask this question to the buyer. So what exactly is their role within the company? Because you have to understand who is the person you are talking, and also what are their responsibilities. And you can also study their market. So which products are most in demand? What are the current trends? And if they have a specific research. And you have also to get prepared. So in fact, it's in line of what I told you before, but you have to highlight your added value. So what makes your product different from your competitors on the French market? You have to have samples. So you have to allow the buyer to test and touch your product. And you have also to prepare sales documents like technical data sheets, certificates, price lists, to be ready, in fact, when you will meet a buyer. So thank you for your attention. So if you have any question, do not hesitate.
Thanks, Jade. That was really interesting, and hopefully will help some of you to prepare for your exhibition at CL. There's going to be some questions time for questions at the end. So yeah, well, if you want to type any questions, if you've got any questions for Jade and you've got them in your head now, then pop them in the chat box so we can come back to them. I'm going to hand over to Louise now.
Perfect. Let me just share my screen. Can everyone see that? Yeah. Is that working?
Yeah, that's fine. Yeah, that's fine.
Okay, perfect. So I'm going to be talking about Amazon, specifically Amazon Europe, and then going a bit more in depth about Amazon France. So I'll just start off with some statistics, just to give you an idea of the size of the opportunity out there. So 40% of EU residents are Amazon customers, and there are over 181 million users in the EU out of 448 million inhabitants. So it kind of just shows you the size of the market, kind of how many people are actually actively using Amazon. And obviously Amazon is a big employer out in Europe as well. Germany is Amazon's biggest marketplace and has over 60 million monthly customers, but it is followed up by Italy, France, and Spain, with a combined 98 million Amazon customers. France was the second largest in Europe for a while, but Italy has recently, I think just this year, taken over, but it is still growing. And when you look at the size of Amazon markets, it goes US, UK, US, Germany, UK, and then the European countries. And in the first quarter of 2024, Amazon France reached nearly 36.8 million unique users. So again, it just highlights how many people in France are actively using Amazon. So you can kind of open yourself up to those consumers that you might not necessarily get in retail or might not be going onto your website. I think something to think about with Amazon is that the typical Amazon consumer, if they're on Amazon and they're searching for a product, they're going to be wanting to purchase it on Amazon. So they like the convenience of it. They like that they can get the Prime delivery. And so you kind of open yourself up to consumers who are going to purchase on Amazon regardless. And that kind of links in with the next stat. So 63% of consumers start their product search on Amazon as opposed to traditional search engines. And 85% of Prime members start their product searches on Amazon. So people who are shopping on Amazon are purchase driven. So if you're kind of looking to invest in advertising, obviously, as many of you probably know, Amazon is a pay to play platform. The more visible you are, the more likely your products are going to get clicked on and the more likely they are going to get purchased. If you're investing advertising spend on Amazon, you're going to be targeting people who are there to make a purchase rather than, say, on other platforms like Google. People might not be purchase driven. They might just be searching for things around that product. So just highlights the kind of, you kind of opening yourself up a lot more to consumers. There we go. Just diving into a bit deeper on Amazon France specifically and the demographics on there. So it's pretty even split male and female, but it is leaning more towards males. And the age distribution, I think, unsurprisingly, is the 25 to 34 age range. I think a lot of that kind of area kind of grown up with Amazon, they kind of use it a lot more. But what is interesting is that these kind of older kind of age distribution categories are growing. So although they're not quite as big as this, they are growing more as people kind of get used to online shopping and that side of things. So opportunities with France, obviously they've got a really large customer base. Suppliers with a good product proposition can thrive and grow on Amazon France. There is a growth potential. So Amazon France stats show enormous growth potential. Newcomers to the market can harness this growth to find new customers and sell on Amazon France. And new market segments, as I mentioned before, Amazon sellers can target new market segments like the growing number of older consumers who increasingly adopt online shopping habits. Just product categories, I know Jade touched on this a bit more in depth about food and drink, which I think was really interesting, but just to give you an idea of some of the other kind of top 5 categories that people in France are shopping. Fashion, I think, unsurprisingly. Then not too far followed by food and personal care. And I think it's really interesting what Jade was saying about the kind of type of products that are kind of growing in popularity, because we've had some orders for France and it is kind of within those categories that Jade was talking about, you know, kind of less harmful products, more kind of organic products and that sort of things. And that's where we've started to see more volume kind of in that area. Things to consider, and I guess this isn't just related to Amazon, it's just kind of going into a new market. If you are shipping, obviously you can use Seller Central or Vendor Central for Amazon. And obviously VAT registration is something you need to consider. I know there's probably a few people who are members of the FDEA who can help with that side of things. EPR and any sort of deposit scheme. So obviously each European country is slightly different with how they do it. So it's just making sure you're fully kind of aware and up to date with all of those elements. Compliant labels as well. So each country just have slightly different requirements for that. And then is there a market for your products and will it be priced competitively? Like if you might be a really great seller in the UK and Germany, but are people in France interested in your product? So it's always worth doing a bit of market research before going into a category, a new country, sorry. I can get some data from Amazon as well. So if anyone is specifically interested in to see kind of what the market looks like for their products or their category, you can contact me afterwards and I can do a little bit of a pull some data for you and send it across just to see if the opportunity is worth it for whatever your products are. And then just on this again, Amazon are a stickler for compliance, and if you can't provide kind of any certifications that they need, or you're not kind of compliant with any of this, they can suppress the listings. And depending what sort of support that you can get, it can make it really hard to unsuppress that, and then that means you can lose sales. So it's just making sure you're 100% kind of aware of all the requirements, compliance stuff as well before launching into a market. This is just a little one-pager about us. I won't go into too much detail, but I'm sure some of you will be aware that some vendor accounts are being closed down in November. So it is kind of highlighting how exclusive vendor is becoming as a platform. So obviously, there's quite an easy transition over to Seller Central with that. But we do offer obviously vendor services all through our vendor account. So it just means that brands who can't necessarily get a vendor account can still get access to vendor and the benefits. So if that is of interest to anyone, if anyone's affected, do let me know. And that's it. That was just like short and sweet. If anyone's got any questions or would like any data for Amazon France or any other European country for their category, then just let me know.
Thanks, Louise. I'm just going to stop sharing your screen and just ask if anybody's got any questions. If you just want to unmute yourselves and yeah, fire away any questions that you've got while we've got Jade and Louise online. Please do.
I just had one for Jade, if that's all right.
Yeah.
Really, really good presentation, Jade. Really interesting. There was obviously more of a focus on the sort of retail channels, but I was just interested if you've seen general shifts within the sort of out-of-home channels, cafes, bars, pubs, with some of the things you spoke about, like inflation and stuff. Like, have you seen the trends that you spoke about in the retail channel also in sort of out-of-home channels?
Yeah, so all the figures I gave are more focused on the retail channel, but in fact they are yeah, we can see the same trends in the HoReCa food service channel. So it's totally in line also. But if you want, I can also send you an email after the presentation with some figures specified on the food service.
Yeah, that would be
some of them. Yeah,
write down your email so I can always email you. Yeah. Good. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Anyone else got a question?
Yeah, I think I have a question for Louise. Since she was talking about food and some products also in Amazon retail, is there some consideration on the proportional percentage of the fresh food market, or is that only for deep frozen products or easy to ship products like canned food or something, or dried food products? Or is there also a trend to be seen in fresh food products because it's a difficult thing to ship?
Yeah, I think it's mainly kind of ambient products.
Yeah.
Obviously Amazon Fresh is something that's grown here. But yeah, mainly ambient as far as I'm aware. I think there are kind of like Jade was saying about kind of the delicatessen, like the meats and stuff, that is a kind of growing market. But with Amazon, it's difficult. So it depends how you would be shipping. If you're doing Seller Central FBM and you can ship the products chilled to the end consumer, that would work quite well. But you wouldn't be able to use FBA or any vendor model because they don't offer chilled storage or chilled transportation for that, unless you're kind of using Amazon Fresh. But if you're just using normal marketplace, chilled is a challenge, unfortunately.
Okay, thanks a lot.
And Louise, does it tend to be sort of the more premium things that products which people are buying on Amazon, or?
It's a real mix. I think a while ago we saw quite, well, I'd say 2020, 2021, it was a lot of kind of gifting, again, more premium, but we are seeing, it's a mix. It depends obviously what type of product and what category it's in, but it is a mix. We've got some quite premium brands who are quite on the higher level of retail price, and they do really well. And then you've got some more of the kind of lower priced products. The only thing with lower priced is, especially if you're working on vendor, it makes it not profitable for Amazon. So you kind of need to be hitting a certain RRP to be making any sort of profit for them and then yourselves as well. So what we find is if it is kind of lower ticket items, kind of selling them as case packs and that side of things normally resolves that. But premium products do get sold and do quite well on Amazon as well.
Yep. Any more questions? Jade, I don't know if so Jade will be out at Cial. I don't know if you wanted to sort of give a quick overview of what Citralis will be doing out at the show.
Yes, I will be there every day during SIAL to see the products and to see what are the new innovative products who can be interesting for the French market. But as so regarding Citralis, we can also offer different services during SIAL. So if you need a coaching session, so like a small market survey, so we can also do that for you. We can also do one-to-one meetings to test your product, to give you our first feeling regarding the test, packaging, flavors, etc. And we can also do food safari in Paris to give you an overview of what are the shops and also to give you an overview of the competitors and also market presentation.
Yeah, I'll send, I believe you've got a one-pager of the different services that you're offering to people at SIAL, so I'll send that along with the recording round to everybody. Just a last call, if there's any more questions, please do shout now.
Mel, it just came up for me, the idea of, will the FDEA be present on the SIAL show?
We will. We have,
Okay.
so we work with our event partner PS8 who organise the UK Pavilion at SIAL, and I believe we've got, I think it's plus 55 UK exhibitors at the show. FDA will be based in, I think, the Savoury Hall. We have a desk there.
Confectionery Hall, Mel.
Oh, the confectionery hall. Oh, here's Karen from PSA. Yeah, so we're in the confectionery hall. It's slightly changed this year for SIAL, where they've sectorised the halls a bit more. It's a large group, and we're looking forward to it.
Yeah, we've got 60 companies across 7 different sector halls this year. So the 2 UK information stands are in Savoury, where the PS8 team will be based primarily, and then in the confectionery hall, that's where the FTA will have a base. And look forward to seeing you.
Okay, great. Thank you.
We should have a catalogue ready, hopefully next week, so we can send the QR code out. Yeah, and it's got profiles of all the individual companies.
Yeah, so that there'll be a QR code which we'll post on our LinkedIn. So have a look out for that and follow FDA if you don't already on LinkedIn for more updates. Like I said, I'll send out the recording. I'm just going to do a few plugs for some future events that we've got, and it's great to see that we've got Cyrus on the call from he is our from Claty, and he is our FDA in-market partner for Germany, Switzerland and Austria, and he'll also be doing a market presentation on the, just double check the date here, on the 3rd of October at 10:30. So if you want to hear more about what the German market has to offer, then please do sign up for that via the FDA portal. We're also just sort of plugging entries for our FDA Export Awards on the 5th of December. If you've got an export story that you're happy to share and you think you've had some great successes, then why not enter the awards and see if you could be a winner. I think that's, and just to say that Jade will be back on the 6th of November, talking in more detail on how to manage a French retail listing, which hopefully you're all going to get as a result of exhibiting at SIAL. So I just want to say thank you to our speakers for joining us this morning, and we'll see you soon.
Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Bye.
Bye.